Were you having technical difficulties?
Yes.
Yep, I knew it.
Oh my
That's
God.
what I said. I was like this, and I apologize, Whitley, because I have. Can you hear us? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I affect electronics, so I
So do I.
tried. I tried to step out of the room, and I tried to make it so that 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 I wasn't sliding this situation. So I do have to apologize because I think I was, um, yeah.
Okay, you need to say no more because I do too. And I have had, well, anyway, we're here. How late am I? I'm real late, I think. Is anyone still left here?
And we're all here, and we're excited to see you.
Oh, good. I can't see anyone except two of you.
Okay, yeah. Let's
There's
see.
5 of us.
What
here.
about the other?
Online?
Yeah.
There's 5 people online.
So Jeff is here, and
Okay, great. I get the lay of the land. That's great.
yeah, and then we'll try to there, and then so we have
about 8 people online
Okay.
and 4 people on Instagram.
Oh,
cool.
Right.
So
Well, anyway, I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad I came in, and I hope it lasts. Oh, thank you. Nice to see you. I hope it lasts because we have there's probably more than just the two of us who have electronic issues.
oh, I read, actually, my producer is the one who said, I think it's called something, and I looked it up, and we're called sliders, apparently.
Sliders?
Yeah, we slide the electricity. I don't know. I don't know what.
you're too powerful.
It's quite frustrating, though, actually. So
Yes, it can be very frustrating.
yeah,
Yeah, I've had the experience of walking into somebody's house and burning out every single piece of electronic equipment they had in it.
Yeah.
And I didn't forget that for a long time because, you know, the TV was gone, the stereo was gone, everything was gone. So
I know your pain. I feel it.
Crystal announced this over 2 months ago, and I had just finished reading your book, and I was so excited, and I showed up here like
in March,
and nobody was here, and I was like online. I was like, "Where is everybody?" And it was like, she said, "No, it's in 2 months." Like, so I actually had to go back and re-listen to it on Audible to refresh my memory for this meeting.
well, it's okay. Do you have? How shall we? I don't know quite what we're going to do. You want me to talk first, or I thought I was you'd be asking questions, or
well, we kind of have been sitting here for about an hour, just kind of discussing things.
God, I'm so embarrassed.
Oh no, it's all good. We're so happy to see you, and it was I mentioned that it was kind of good that you weren't here because then we got to really explore things and kind of talk amongst ourselves what we thought about the book and your experiences. But since you're here now, do you want us to start with questions, or do you want to because there were a few questions that came up.
Yeah, well, I think maybe the thing to start with is the fact that my interactions with the visitors have been extremely intense lately and very hard, very, very hard. I'm working on a new book, and something has happened now with a new world, with them, and with this new book, which is a kind of fight. In other words, there seems to be someone who does want the book and someone who doesn't want the book. And I'm kind of in the middle. And the last time with them, these are sometimes physical people. They're not necessarily, this isn't something that's happening in the ethereal world at all. And they invaded this apartment, and I was not here when it happened. I had gone swimming. I swim most mornings, and and when I came back, it had obviously been entered. And they not only did they enter it, they tried to make it clear that it had been entered because there's all kinds of drawers open and things strewn around. So obviously someone had been here. And that was very, very frightening. And
Yeah, the keylogger thing and
yeah,
the
you know the
website.
whole story. Okay, then I won't go into it again. Um, yeah, if you read them, I think it's in the book. Anyway,
Chapter 17.
yeah, what has happened since is this. You might remember I make some references in the book to this young woman who had come into my life through the website, and she invited me to come to their home in England, and I thought I would do that because I had to get out of here, and I wanted to get as far away from here as possible after all that stuff happened. And then the following things occurred. First, all of her emails from the past year came pouring into her computer, and then her name started appearing in the admin area of our website to make it look like she was the one who was screwing things up. And of course, I knew already this wasn't true, that there was somebody trying to mess with, because I've had many people work on my website who and it turns out it looks like they are sabotaging it when it's not them. It's someone who wants to make sure that someone who's useful to me does not get to work with me. So I went to England anyway, and they were very warm. It's a lovely English family, and um, I would sit at the kitchen table working on them, and she would sit there working on her. She worked at home because post-COVID situation, and I would occasionally say something or ask a question or read a paragraph, and it turned out she was as good as Anne, or maybe better in some respects than Anne was at doing that. Of that sort of, and I wrote a whole book in a couple of weeks as a result of this. So, fast forward to now. It comes time to start the new book, and I'm, of course, eager to do this again. I'm not going to go to England, all the way to England to do it, because we can easily do it over Zoom. And she suddenly decides, no more. You're done. We don't want you in our house. You can't. I can't work with you on the book. It's finished. And I can't ever get a good reason from them. Of course, it drives me absolutely crazy. I nearly died. I had a big blood pressure crisis and all kinds of things. It was horrific because I felt like the rug had been pulled out from under me. And that happened in January and February. And it's just now that I'm beginning to really get into the book again without that help. And I had really counted on because this is no ordinary situation. This kid is probably just a kid. I mean, she's a very nice young woman in her early 20s. But this skill was incredibly valuable to me and rare. And I lost it. It was taken from me on purpose. And I'm sure these people don't understand what happened, or they probably have their reasons for doing it. But this is the sort of thing I live with. And recently here in this apartment, there have been a number of incidents so terrifying that I have had. Well, to give you I have a blood pressure machine because I've become aware of the fact that these incidents cause blood pressure to rise dramatically. And one night the blood pressure was 300 over 140. That is literally deadly.
Oh.
That could have killed. I went to the ER and they got it down, but now it's out of control. I'm going back to the doctor tomorrow morning. And it's like there's somebody literally trying to find a way to kill me so this book won't be finished, on the one hand. On the other hand, the implant has taken over as never before and is working fabulously on the. I'm like I have a partner working on the book. So there's a partner working on the book through the implant. God knows, probably Annie. I mean, it could be any. I don't even understand who's on the other side of the implant, except they're very, very good at working with me. That I do know. And on the other hand, there's someone who seems to be trying to kill me in a bizarre way by these things that happen in the night. I don't even know how to describe them. They're like well, I'll give you an example. They're like super bizarre, ultra real, horrific lucid dreams. I was at Leslie Kean. I'm sure you know Leslie Kean, who she is, and we're close friends. And I was staying in her apartment in New York a few months ago, and I usually do the meditation at 3 a.m. and sometimes I get tired and I don't do it. And if it's sort of traditional that if I don't do it 2 nights in a row, they will wake me up the third night. And it's often fun. It's not, there are all kinds of, they're very inventive, and whoever's this presence is, and this isn't physical, this part of it is very inventive. And, a school bell will ring in the living room, or the air conditioner will turn on, or all the lights will go on, or push the cell phone off the table in the bedroom or something. It's all kinds of stuff like that. And it's never been hostile. And usually when I sit and do the meditation, especially on those nights, it's very rich with interaction and ideas and so forth. This time I had been tired and I didn't get up 2 nights in a row. Then suddenly the third night, I opened my eyes because I felt like there was someone in the room. And this, what looked like a 12-year-old boy, walks, up beside the bed like he was, and I thought at first, does she have a nephew? Or something, or a grandchild? But then I saw he had in his hand a dagger. Let me see if I can make it show. Yeah, there I am. A long dagger just in his hand. And he comes up to the bedside, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to figure out whether or not he's real. And I think, this kid is he's going to stab me with that dagger right now. That's how it felt. And I thought, am I going to, what in the world? I thought it was a home intruder. And I thought, what in the world is this little kid coming in here with a dagger? This just doesn't make sense. And I thought, wait a minute, it doesn't make sense, Strieber. Wake up. That's what the whole thing is about. You're supposed to do the meditation. And so I jumped out of the bed and got into the chair that's in the room. My heart was pounding. I didn't have my blood pressure machine with me, but I know it was really high. And I thought to myself, this is someone using the 3 a.m. meditation as an excuse to terrorize me. This is not.
Yes.
So this is what I'm living with. Yeah, go ahead.
So are you familiar with the story of somebody named Richard Doty? And back when he was employed by the government as sort of a disinformation, and he did this thing that he did with Paul Benowitz, who was a person who
he killed Paul Benowitz. Yeah, I know. I've met Richard Doty.
Your situation makes me think of that.
Well, that's interesting that you bring that up, and I'm glad I brought this up because that's useful information to me.
And also the revelations that are coming out about anomalous health incidents, aka Havana syndrome, and that some people may be developing some kind of a technology that can affect people physically from a distance, and possibly even putting thoughts into their head.
And in this case, this is not the only situation I've had where it's a super realistic, beyond lucid dream thing that is so realistic that it doesn't seem like a dream when it's happening, but it's actually not happening. In fact,
Well, lucid dreams, I am told, can sometimes seem realer than real.
Well, maybe
Um,
that's it then. Maybe, but of course, lucky me, I would have lucid dreams so terrifying that they would nearly kill me.
we don't want that. But if you're aware that that could be a possibility, you may have better control over it.
Well, that's a wonderful. I'm so glad I'm here because I feel like maybe it's a. Those are great thoughts, and thank you.
And another thing that I was talking to a good friend of mine, Darcy Goodcrow, about, and she's a Lakota woman, and she said that her tribe is, and they're preparing right now for the psychic warfare. And she said that it's they're literally preparing themselves because this is a different type of battle that we're going to be having this year and next year, and it's a psychic battle. So that I think also aligns with the things that are happening to you, because
Yeah,
I feel like it's a psychic attack.
because I am definitely in the middle of a war. This new book is going to be the first time that any legitimate data and information about the bodies of the visitors gets into the public space. It's never been done before, and it's not channeled or anything. It comes from it's the documented evidence, and combining that with witness testimony, you can build a very clear picture of what is afoot. And the purpose of the book is to demythologize and these entities, because they're very embedded now in a kind of mythology because we don't know enough about them. We don't know enough about their vulnerabilities, and they seem distant and all powerful and racing around in UFOs that go at astronomical speeds. And it seems like something so far beyond us, but it's not. And the book is intended to help people realize that, and also to understand things about ourselves, the powers that we have that are nascent. They're not. We're not using them, and it'll hopefully help us learn to use these powers again. Because we live in the remains of an extraordinary, great society of some kind, who built all kinds of wonderful engineering, did all kinds of wonderful engineering feats around this world, and are now gone. We don't do it anymore. And we can't. Someone turned something off in us. And I'm
Exactly.
hoping that I will be able to identify some ideas about how to possibly turn it back on.
Yeah. That's why they're trying to stop you.
Exactly. And years ago, Annie said to me, when I said to her, we need to re-engage with this because it's real. Once we'd gone through the whole shebang of thinking it wasn't real and everything, and something in my head, we need to go out in the woods at night and to where it happened, and to indicate to them that we're ready for more engagement. And she said, "Oh, good. You can go out tonight." I said, "Well, what about you?" She said, "I'm not going out there in any way. I didn't have the experience, and I've got a little boy here, so we're staying home. You go out." And that engagement started all of this. But and later she said, after a lot of very complex things that happened, some of them dangerous, obviously, and some of them quite wonderful, had happened. She said, Whitley, it's dangerous, and you know it now. I said, yes, I do know it. It is dangerous. She said, but you signed on as a soldier. You've got to keep doing it. And I thought to myself, this is my wife talking. she shouldn't want me to go out there and get turned into a pumpkin or whatever. But Annie was the same way. She was a soldier too, and and I'm still in that space. I'm going to do this until they kill me.
Yeah.
And maybe they won't. Maybe I will get to the other end of the other side of the battlefield in one piece. You never know.
I think you'll get to the other side, but I think that there's a lot of colliding forces right now in the universe, and I believe that the light workers, you said they turned something off. We're here to turn it back on. Like we're here,
absolutely.
We're here to fire it back up, and I believe that that's why we're here, and I can't imagine that it won't happen. I just think you're gonna get that book written, and
you're darn right I am.
There will be people that are going to come to you that will help you immensely, and if you need any help from us, we're all here.
Listen, I might. What I did recently.
Prayer for healing and things like that. If people that we in our group or that we know, relatives and things like that, and we send out healing remotely, and it seems to work.
Good. Well, I'm interested. I'm definitely sign me up.
Okay, I'll ask.
We keep realizing is there are more of us than there are of them.
That's interesting because we are led to think that there's sort of this huge, vastly powerful force, but that is not the case. When you're with them, the Greys, especially physically, they're little, vulnerable people, and I don't have the impression that there are many of them around.
What I was referring to is the adversaries, the government side of it, who may be trying to stop this.
They don't want the toothpaste to come out of the tube.
There are a lot more of us than there are of them, so therefore, I think would be.
And I also think that we have power and they have force. And I believe that power comes from inside, and you can't stop someone's power. You can forcefully try to put something on someone else, but when you have power like within yourself, and that power becomes very strong. And so personally, I'd rather be powerful than forceful.
That can be a power to inspire somebody and draw something out of them that they want to what they want to give out, and it can also be a power to protect yourself. And there are ways that you can learn maybe to create a psychic protection for yourself. There's different ways of doing that, and creating a dome of protection for yourself.
I call it bubbling up. You put a bubble around yourself.
I knew. You remember Robert Monroe?
Oh yeah,
the Monroe Institute, the out of the body guy. Well, he was very good. He explained to me all how that works, and you remind me I should do that. I gave him a galley of communion. Oh, this was so many years ago, and I was just innocent. I didn't had any idea what would happen, and he read it and he says, "This is going to get you in a lot of trouble."
So, this thing about creating protection can work so well that, I've seen, like my ex-husband, he had somebody like broke into his house and stole his bass guitars, and he knew who it was, and he was just furious because the police wouldn't do anything and all this. He was so bitter and angry about it. And he, as a result, and he was magically inclined, and so he did rituals and things to try to protect the house. Well, after I was married and I moved in, there was a feeling that I wasn't welcome because I was an outsider. And he had built something up that was so strong that we were having trouble selling the house because we wanted to buy a bigger house. And we had to do a ritual to try to dispel that.
Yep.
And it was actually stronger. It was like something he had created that didn't want to go away, didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
And when we did the ritual, this has not happened to me, but it was like there was something like it was a towel or some clothing or something. And I said, "Do you see that?" And he looked and he says, "Yeah." And we could both see it, that it was the shape of a face in the folds of that towel.
That's the energy work I do surrounding real estate properties that won't sell. And one time I had this beautiful home on Queen Anne, and not one agent in a week opened the key box. And I was like, what? This is not normal. Like, we're talking about a great area, great house. And I looked at the house, I stood back and there was literally a cloak over the house. And we had to remove that cloak. And the moment we removed that cloak, the very first person that walked in the door bought the house.
Wow.
And
yeah.
Why was it there?
It was the man who lived there for 30 years, was an engineer, and he passed away in the home, and he thought that we were trying to take his home from him. And when I connected with him, he was pushing me in the chest, telling me to get out. Because I was seen as the bad person, because I put the lockbox on the door, I did the things. And when I told him that I just wanted him to have a new family, and to ask him to welcome in a new family, and I explained that I was not a bad guy because I was being seen as a bad guy, all of a sudden the pressure on my chest went away, and he removed the cloak. I didn't have to remove it. He did it. It was a pretty powerful afternoon. And at one point I actually ran out of the house crying because he took a light bulb and it shattered in my face. And I was like, I can't deal with this entity. But then we ended up coming to peace, and it was fine, and everything is good now. But
I'm just curious about what made you shift to this different focus for your new book. Your thought processes about what
my
inspired
whole
you to write this.
Okay, I heard you. I was having a little trouble hearing, but I heard you. My whole journey from communion on has always been about making contact into something more, making it into communion, actually. And this new book, the recent books, there's Communion, Transformation, and Breakthrough. And then Breakthrough was rather ironically titled because I came up against a sort of a cultural brick wall then. And I couldn't get anywhere in the culture. And I started to have to do other things and write fiction again and stuff. But then after Annie passed away, she took a hold of the whole thing. And first there was Afterlife Revolution, then A New World. And A New World is the first of the second sort of series of books. It's Breakthrough. It's Communion, Transformation, Breakthrough, then A New World, Them, and this book, The Fourth Mind. A New World establishes the universe of this experience as it exists now and as I understand it. Then Them, it goes into what the communications problems are. Essentially, the communications problems between us and them. And then this book is about empowering us in the relationship, basically. So that's the arc of the second series of books. So,
Wasn't confirmation in there somewhere too?
well, confirmation is a bit of a different. It's more of a UFO research level book. It's not as experiential as the other three. The first three that I mentioned. The first three are all about my experiences, and then when you come back to this group of books, Breakthrough. I mean, a New World is somewhat about my experiences, and them is beginning to bring in the experiences of others, and now this one is basically about the visitors and their physical capabilities, and how that relates to their powers, because they have extraordinary powers, as we know.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where that is, and it's all based around the same thing. The first three books are basically familiarization, and then the second three books are about ways of enacting this, so that we can take this information with us into a relationship with them and use it to balance that relationship.
That I was really impressed by. Well, we were all talking earlier about how brave you've been. But,
Yeah.
Not bravery, it's stubbornness. There's a
recently,
difference.
there was an entry you put on your blog, I think in response to something that Arrow, their report, came out with, and
Yeah.
you talking about how angry you are that the government is ignoring experiencers and everything, not being interested in doing anything to help the experiencers.
Yeah, exactly.
I imagine that must have stirred the pot a little bit. Did you get any feedback or blowback or?
No, I never do get direct blowback. They're very cagey with me. They're scared of me. They don't like me. I uh, because I represent I'm a really toxic presence as far as the Defense Department is concerned, because the one thing they must at all costs hide is the fact that they let people be abducted and their sexual material taken from them in the thousands and said nothing. They said nothing. And never, they will try to say it never happened, that these people are all having fantasies. They will try to say, if that doesn't work, they will try anything. They will try to say, we didn't know about it. But they did, and I'll tell you why I know that for certain. One of the first people to show up at our house, at our cabin, and to befriend us when I started doing research on this, and before Communion was even written, was a man called David W. Webb. And if you look David W. Webb up on Wikipedia, you will find that he was a major space sciences expert, and you'll find he consulted with every alphabet agency in the country. And he used to come up to our cabin, and he was very sweet and very encouraging. And he obviously knew everything about this, or a great deal about it. He introduced me to an allergist, and they gave us epinephrine injectors to put in every room in the house, and they put me on a program of allergy shots that I went on for 2 years. And I went back to the allergist's office to thank him. To walk in and say hello and thank him, because I'd only met him briefly one time. And they pretended he had never existed. And it was the same people. I mean, they said, no, there was never anyone that name here. That doctor didn't exist. We never, you're in the wrong office. Well, I wasn't in the wrong office. So
Yeah.
they know. What's that?
They Oh, she's saying, I wonder if that's an MK Ultra technique. And I was kind of agreeing with that.
Erase the memory.
Yeah, try to erase your memory.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I would think so. Um, but the eraser of memory that's something that has more to do with my childhood experiences and with my childhood experience with the Air Force when I was recruited for this program in 1952, which is, I think MK Ultra was just getting started, but this program was at Randolph Air Force Base, and my best friend to this day was also recruited for it, with one difference. He was in the room when the two Air Force people who his parents knew recruited him, and he was 9, I was 7. And at 7 and there's a big gap between 7 and 9. You mature a lot. He remembers the meeting very well, and I don't. I don't remember anything about. I just remember being taken out there. But his parents were told that when they were told that it involved the use of a Skinner box, they said, "No, we don't. He's not getting in the program. We don't want to do it." My parents did, and that was in August of 1952. By October of 1952, my immune system had completely collapsed, and I had to be taken out of school and out of the program. And I ended up at Brook General Hospital, a little tiny 7-year-old boy as thin as a rail, being treated in isolation with gamma globulin injections to try to restore my immune system, which had disappeared. But from stress. And my mother kept the report card from that year all of her life. And every report, it says absent due to illness, absent due to illness, absent due to illness, from October until January. And she kept it, I think, because she felt very guilty about that, about what had happened to me.
Yeah.
And my memory was erased using hypnosis. And it took many, many years for that to wear off, and now it has. But it also cracked the cosmic egg. It's why the visitor showed up in my life. They wouldn't have showed up otherwise.
Yeah.
I bet many of you who are close encounter witnesses have got trauma in your childhoods too, of various kinds. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Why did they come back? I guess I want to hear what you say about that.
Can you repeat that? I didn't hear it.
I'll repeat it.
Yes, please.
She's wondering why you think they came back why they came and encountered you again as a result of
earlier trauma.
Oh, because I was a good writer, and they wanted that. They wanted the book. They wanted communion.
You're a messenger.
These are the guys that want the books, and the other guys who don't want the books, they're not in. The ones who want it's so complicated because they come into my life. They probably came into my life in the summer of 1985 because I was having these horrible headaches every afternoon, and I was obsessed with the idea that there was someone coming into the cabin. I had a shotgun. I was patrolling, and I went to Radio Shack and got an alarm system and installed it in the cabin and everything. And Annie thought I was going nuts. She said, "We're out here in the middle of nowhere, and there is no crime." She even called the sheriff's office, and they got uneasy because they thought maybe she was a reporter, and she was going to write a story about how they didn't need a sheriff's office because there was no crime. And so she said to me, "I called the sheriff, and he said there hasn't been a burglary of any kind in 25 years around here. So what are you scared of?" I couldn't answer the question. But
you sensed it, but you didn't have any way to describe it.
Oh, they were coming into the house, undoubtedly. And then finally in October, they blew something up above the house and woke up Annie Gottlieb and Jacques Sandalescu and caused my little boy to start screaming in the middle of the night and I thought the house was on fire, and I ran downstairs. But here's the fascinating thing about this, and this is a subtext in my whole experience. Anne was not concerned. She was not concerned. Once I told her that what had actually happened, and we stopped fighting because I was trying to get rid of her because I thought I was going psychotic and stuff. She just took over. She named the book. She read every word I wrote. She did everything. She really formed the whole thing. And then she's the one who did the communion letters, the one who announced that this had something to do with the dead, which is very, very important. And if I didn't know her family. I never met them. I don't know. She never told me much about them. Just that her mother had committed suicide when she was 7, and she had no memory of her childhood. None. So who was she? How is it that she seemed purpose-built to do this? And she and as far as I'm concerned, the Air Force chose me and this other boy because we were both really smart. There's a IQ test given all over the schools, and the two of us were chosen because we're really smart. And I think that the visitors came back to me for that reason, because they wanted to use my little gray cells, and they are using them, and it's working well, except for the fact that somebody else is trying to screw with me all the time.
Met Chris Bledsoe?
No, and I was very eager to interview Chris Bledsoe, and he backed out. He wouldn't interview on my show, and I was really very surprised. I don't know quite what is going on there, but I've read his book and UFO of God and things, and I think it might be that he has very deep religious convictions, and he feels maybe there would be some kind of a conflict or something. I don't know.
Just have a little battery signal.
Is that for the audio?
It's the audio.
Okay. We've lost some audio here.
I can still hear you.
Yeah. Can do it. Sorry, we were having can we do another output?
Yeah.
From my computer, maybe? We're just switching the output of your speaker.
Okay.
That's the one that's not working. Okay, and then turn the volume up all the way. We're getting there.
Slowly but surely.
Okay. Do you want to try talking, Whitley? See if we can hear you? Yeah.
Yeah. Can
we
you
can
hear
hear
me?
you. Okay.
No.
Thank you, Alex.
Obviously not.
Pleasure.
Oh, you can. Oh, good. Okay, well, let's keep on then.
Okay. Now I forget what we were talking about. We were in the middle of
Chris Bledsoe, and he's very spiritual too. So
Yeah, I just answered the question about
Yeah.
Chris
okay.
Bledsoe.
One thing that occurred to me, the reason that we're here right now is because I was told that disclosure is going to come from the individuals, and it's up to individuals to start disclosing. And so it's interesting that then we decide to do a book club, and we decide to read your book, and then you're telling us about your mission of how you're personally disclosing and doing the work you're doing. It seems as if it's a collective push to have individuals, empowering individuals more. And I believe the entities that are fighting that are actually the governments and the 3-letter agencies. And they have a lot of money and a lot of force and a lot of technology. And I find it fascinating to hear how you are having to fight so hard. But I really want to tell you thank you for doing that, because I have a lot of gratitude towards what you're doing and the work that you're putting into the world.
Yeah. Thank you. And, we should all be aware of the fact that every single one of us is in this battle. Every one of us. And it's a very much of a community. And, I'm doing my part, but you are too, every one of you. We're all trying to do this and to make this happen. And to make it happen in such a way that it's good for us, for mankind, because that might not be the case. That's pretty scary when you think about it. Because I think that whatever's out there is going to pretty much, basically, if we're, a new world, if you can take it. If you're not strong enough, then basically we're going to get into trouble with these people. They're going to start exploiting us. I think it's almost certain
they do
that will
already.
happen.
They do, and very.
They already do, of course. I mean,
too. We're controlled. Yeah, I think with programming, with propaganda, with our education system, with the food we're being fed, I think all of it is.
Yeah, there's something going on with the food and stuff. That's creepy.
Well, and the AI thing, they're in a real hurry to
And she's mentioning AI. I actually would like to hear your opinion about AI.
Well, I thought to myself the other night, I was talking to some friends about AI. I said, well, how do we know AI is really AI? Maybe AI is contact. It could easily be. We just don't. We don't know the answer.
There
to that
are
question.
cyborg beings that are very much feel the same as AI feels to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
absolutely,
I think AI is a tool in a lot of ways. We can use it in good ways.
When the David Grush thing came out, I really thought that was going to be something then, and then all of a sudden they're stepping it back. I mean,
they are stepping it back, and I think they're stepping it back because they're basically afraid of
losing power
of us, and because there's and also there's this other thing. I noticed that who was the head of that subcommittee that I think he's now the Speaker of the House. No. That Schumer's a senator.
Johnson?
The
He's
Schumer
the Speaker
amendment
now.
I'm talking about.
The House.
The Speaker of the
House. Yeah, and he is financed by the defense industry.
Actually,
and he's the one who
that
gutted
was
the Schumer
a
amendment.
different representative from Ohio. I forget his name, Michael something else, different Michael. But yeah, the guy that is in the district in Ohio where Wright Patterson Field is. The word is from Senator Rounds, Matt
right.
Laszlo, and Ask a Poll. He just got word the other day from Senator Rounds that they're in the process of rewording the Disclosure Act to reintroduce again in the NDAA this year. So they're trying to overcome some of the objections that they had last time.
It won't go away. We won't let it go away. No.
No, it's not. It can't go away. We must not
Yesterday
let it go away.
at the SALT conference, Colonel Carl Nell, who has a very storied resume, said flat out to this conference of financier people that NHI, just didn't mince words. NHI is here. They're interacting with us now and ongoing, and that unelected people in the government are aware.
That's right. What was that conference? The SALT conference. I am aware of it, but
You
I
can
didn't
find
focus on it.
Carl Nell's talk on salt on YouTube. Just
I know Carl Nell and I know his story,
it's
but what
financial.
was
It's
the
mainly
conference? That's what
financial
I'm curious
people.
about.
It's financial strategy, like big overarching banks and investors and like the BlackRock, the
Oh,
Vanguard, like all
yeah.
of those, their strategy.
Bilderbergs.
The
Well,
Bilderberg,
that's a place that no close encounter witnesses need apply.
right?
They're not going to be talking to us. And of course, we're the whole reason. We're the main issue. It's going to be us that we're going to be
Yep.
the ones who actually have to do this. And all these people are they're talking to themselves anything except face the fact.
And that's
That
what I was referring to, is the fact they can't shut us all up. They can't shut us all up.
They can't shut us all up, but the thing is, they don't want they hate the idea that common people
Yep.
are actually empowered in this thing, because that's the fact. We're not the high and mighty. They didn't go to the high and mighty.
Mhm.
They went to the ordinary people for a reason, because we're the ones who can do this. The people running things are going to get completely gobsmacked. They're not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah, and this part of this project is a YouTube series that we're doing called Universe on Earth, and we are leaving in June to go to all the different UFO hotspots and interview people and ask questions, and we're going to put it on YouTube, and we are, we're not going to censor anyone's stories, and we're inviting the communities to come in and doing it through an alien open mic is what we're calling it, and encouraging people in different local communities all over North and South America is what we're starting with, and asking them to tell us their stories, and we're going to share those stories. And I don't think anything's going to stop us, honestly. I think
No, it shall hope not.
they're
Weather might
controlling that
stop you.
too.
I don't. I don't know if you've noticed that the Midwest and the South are getting hammered unbelievably by walls of tornadoes. Boy, I mean, it's terrifying. And of course, the other thing is living my life. I wrote Superstorm with art, and I'm seeing it come true now. It's very scary, because they're having the same. They're having deluges in England, and very unseasonably cold weather, because the Gulf Stream is weakening, just as I said it would. And on the other hand, India is frying, Asia is frying, and so is South America.
There's monkeys that are dying from the heat and falling out of the trees in southern Mexico.
Yeah, that's right. I read that. And, it's just a scary time. And one of the things I've understood from the visitors, and I'm always real hesitant to predict anything, because I've seen so many predictions, and there are people who make a business out of saying it's going to happen. Just stay with me, and it's going to happen next week, next year, 6 months from now, another 2 years. But I got the impression that they don't intend to, for two things. One is that our disclosure process is not going to be revealing of what they really are. And two is that they will not show up here in physical form for all to see until every single human being on the planet has faced the fact that the planet is not going to survive in this form, and that in other words, they have until after we have our Titanic moment. And that really disturbed me, because I don't want us to have a Titanic moment at all. I'm Titanic, as in realizing that we're on the Titanic and it's going down. And that's what I call a Titanic moment. And that it was about 2 hours before the ship sank that everybody on the ship knew it would sink, for sure. And we're not far from that for the whole planet. Only I am not sure that that's necessary. And I think that there may be means of reconnecting with our planet that have nothing to do with conventional thinking at all. And that's a big part of Fourth Mind, because I think that we may be able to rebuild our relationship with the Earth in such a way that the Earth can continue to
Yes.
to be our mother, and it will be a live birth of mankind,
Yeah.
not a stillbirth.
I think that is a beautiful sentiment, and I really believe that by bridging the ancient ways, the way when we cared for our Mother Earth, and we had more of, say, the indigenous ways of life, and when we learn to bridge those indigenous ways with our new future, I believe that the Earth has every healing capability built into its ecosystem. So we can ultimately heal ourselves and the planet collectively together. It's possible.
Exactly. I think it is possible. I think that we have, as I say, we have hidden powers, and we're gonna. It's going to be a sink or swim proposition. We're either going to use those powers or we're not. And if we don't, then we're going to basically the ship's going to sink. And I don't know when, but it doesn't look like it's going to be too far from now with the way the things are. The planet's getting so distempered. My God.
And I'm going to say, not everybody on the Titanic have lost their life. I actually know, as a child, I knew someone who was a survivor of the Titanic. And so I think that it can, we can be survivors.
How fascinating.
Yes.
Did
Yeah,
they
she
tell
was
her story
a friend of mine's neighbor. And she was a kid when she was on the Titanic. And she didn't remember everything. I think she was like 6 or something. But she definitely, it impacted her. Yes, very, very much. I mean, amazing woman. Actually, she lived till she was like over 100. Yeah.
Well, that's quite a story. But you make a good point. Not everybody died. People survived, and they're going to survive this Titanic too. Probably
Totally.
someone in this room right now.
I think Jeff and I have talked about that before.
But boy, Annie said to me, Annie became, I think she became enlightened toward the end of her life. I really did. Maybe she was always that way, but it was amazing what she became. I asked her the question. I've always been interested in compassion because I'm very, very interested in helping people. It's extremely important to me. And I asked her what compassion was. And she said, each of us is all we have. And that blew my mind, because I thought to myself, from now on, every time I look at another person, all I have to do is think those words, and I will find my compassion. That this person might be doing terrible things to me, or humiliating me, or scaring me, or threatening me, or something. But this is still a person, a full, complete person, and they are alone in there, just like I am in here. All we have. And this is the kind of thing that is going to save us. And it's also why, when I think of the Titanic, and a few people survived, and I think to myself, I don't want anyone to sink with this Titanic, because each person is as important to them as I am to me.
We have people online saying that they love that sentiment. I just wanted to let you know that they're saying that.
Oh, thanks. Well, keep it.
Yeah.
Use it. It's real powerful. It'll really really make you into. It
Mhm.
made me into a better person, no question. And you can use it, and especially when you're with somebody who's really pissing you off, it, call that to mind, and
Yeah.
it'll change
It's
everything.
true. Yes. Well, Whitley, we really appreciate this conversation so much, and we know how busy you are, and
And it's I came in late, and we could talk all night, and
yeah,
it's been
thank
wonderful
you.
to be here, and I'm so glad. And keep me posted about your plans that I think so absolutely fascinating. I want to know more. Maybe we
Yes, I
should
would love
talk
that.
about it
Yeah,
on
I
But
think
Dreamland or
we,
something. It
Jeff
sounds
actually mentioned that to me. He
well.
said you should talk to him on Dreamland.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yes. Oh, I love
absolutely.
that.
Well, keep in touch,
I
and we'll do
can't
it.
wait to tell you more because we have a
Yeah.
team of people that we're very inspired, and it all started with our director's dream. And then we kind of collectively all came on board and realized that we're having the same dreams, at least the same intention of that. And so yeah, we're really fired up right now. So I would love to.
Well,
Yep.
this is what's supposed to
Yep.
happen,
yeah.
and I'll bet you're not alone. I
Yep.
bet there's lots of groups around like this who are. Any of you going to be in contact? No, you're probably
I'd
not.
love to go to
At
that,
contact
Whitley,
in the
but
desert.
I just can't. But I've been listening to George Norrie talking about it on, and I'd love to go to that. But
Yeah.
oh, I'm doing all,
How are
I'm
you
I'm
doing,
doing
by the way?
okay.
Hardly talk.
Things are a lot better, and I'm just trying to stay busy through my life and stuff. So so
Yeah, I know the feeling.
it's been a tough road to hoe, but I kind of got a lot of inspiration from you, to be honest with you.
Oh, thanks.
Yep,
But
exactly.
grief is another form of love.
It
We
it
both
helped
got
a
our
lot. Believe
wives in
me,
our hearts.
really did.
I might be able to tune into contact online
Yeah.
version, the live stream or something.
Yeah.
As much as I'd love to meet you and a few
I
other,
didn't hear her.
people that are there, it's like it's not in the budget right now to go live.
What are the dates of it again?
The May the
Oh.
29th through June the 3rd.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a couple of weeks.
Might have to. We might have to go.
Well, there's a big conference
Where
in
is it?
Minville. You should go to that for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minville,
Yeah.
Oregon.
that's already happened, Whitley. That
Yeah,
happened
outside
already.
Portland. Well, it
Yeah.
did. Yeah, I was the keynote
I was
speaker a
actually
couple of
there
years
when
ago.
you were
and
there,
had a
but I left
blast.
early, so I didn't get to see you.
I think a few of our SUFON members, Carol, I
Oh.
remember she told me that she met you at that in McMinnville. And I think maybe Mary as well.
She did. Well, yeah, you meet so many people as I do.
Oh,
and
of course,
it
of course.
becomes
But they
very hard
remember
to
you
remember
very,
everything.
very well. And they were excited that you were going to talk to SUFON and all of us here. And yeah. But does anyone else have any last things to say? No?
Well, thank you.
Just,
very,
yeah,
very
thank you
much.
so much.
Well, I will.
Okay.
I will leave you with one other thing from Annie, and this is important to everyone in our movement, the whole group. I asked her what enlightenment, how you became enlightened, and she said enlightenment is what happens when there's nothing
you
left
repeat
of
that?
us but love. So keep that. Enlightenment is what happens when there is nothing left of us but love.
That's great.
And I said to her, that's an interesting life aim. And she said,
Yeah.
you can do it.
There's no fear, no nothing, just love. That's amazing.
Goodbye,
No
guys.
ego.
Yeah.
Yeah. No ego. It doesn't
It's
have a
amazing.
place
Thank you
in
for
that.
sharing. So
Well, thank you
it's
for having me.
just amazing.
Thank you so much, Whitley. It's been an honor having you on.
Bye. Peace.
Goodbye. Thanks.
I don't know how to hang it up. Let's see.
Peace.
Yeah. Okay.